Okay, this is like take 24 or something. Oh, okay, here we go. Welcome to the Jungle Room, brought to you by Pizza Man in... You gotta be kidding me. Eagle River. Okay. Welcome to the Jungle Room, brought to you by Pizza Man in Eagle River, Alaska. I am Jaime Kay. Yeah, and there's no one here with me. I'm doing this by myself. Oh my goodness. Okay, I need a break. Welcome to the Jungle Room, brought to you by Pizza Man in Eagle River, Alaska. I am Jaime Kay. Yes, I'm still solo, but I won't be for very long. After the break, I will have Gregg Webb, and we'll be talking about the Aloha special that occurred on January 14th of 1973. Wow, that is so crazy. 1973. Doesn't seem that long ago. And we are going to discuss that concert and our opinions about that. Now, I'm a little parched still from last night because last night I was talking to the guys over at the TCB Cast. Now, I will be on their 100th episode that will air next week. And from what I have read on their Facebook page, it is a 2-part episode. And the reason why is because we talked for over 3 hours. I'm not kidding. And I didn't expect that. So 6 o'clock my time was when we were scheduled to talk. So it was 7 o'clock Gurdeep's time. And I think it was about 10 Justin's time. And wow, we just got on a roll. I tried to hurry up and make dinner for my family. I put the dinner in the oven. I told my son to take it out at such and such time. So I didn't even eat dinner when we got started, thinking that it was only going to be an hour to an hour and a half tops. 3 hours. So the last 20 minutes that we were talking, I was a little delirious, but it was a lot of fun. We discussed the movie. This is Elvis. We go into the extended version of that movie. It was a great conversation. So I hope that you guys take a listen to that episode over at TCB Cast. Those guys are wonderful. Gurdeep and Justin are phenomenal. They make me laugh. I am so impressed with their intelligence. I feel like we're on such a different intellectual level. I'm like the Valley Girl, and they are the Einsteins of Elvis Presley and music trivia. I can't even hold a candle to their magnitude of intelligence. It's unreal. But they have a great show over there at TCB Cast. So if you guys want to take a listen to TCB Cast, you can find them the same way you find the Jungle Room podcast, by going to Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, radio.com, or go find them on Facebook, TCB Cast. They're a great show. Now, before we get going, I wanted to talk to you guys about something that was brought to my attention a couple of days ago. So last week, Life magazine put out a re-edition of a publication that they did back in 1977 called Remembering Elvis. Now, this episode, I'm on a podcast verbiage. So this Life magazine that's published by Time was originally published in 1977, and it was republished, I think, last week, titled Remembering Elvis. Now, this publication has a major error in it. It is written saying that Joe Esposito was the one to find Elvis when he passed away. That is not true. That's very inaccurate. It was actually Ginger Alden. Now, I encourage all my listeners who are a big advocate of making sure that the truth of Elvis history stays intact. I encourage you to write to the lead editor at Time Magazine. His name is Edward Felsenthal, Felsenthal, at letters@time.com. That's letters with an S at time.com. Email him, ask him to fix this mistake, because this is such an insult to the truth and to Elvis history. And this is something that's happened over and over again. we need to do something about it. So please email Edward Felsenthal. I hope I'm saying his name right. He's the lead editor at Time Magazine, letters@time.com. Ask him for a rewrite and to correct this mistake. Maybe they can do a feature on Elvis and Ginger and retract this era and maybe start bringing back what the truth was in Elvis history. All right, you guys, we have a great show coming up. Coming up next is Gregg Webb. Now, in this conversation I have with Gregg, I'm going to tell you, Gregg corrects me when we're talking. I made the mistake of saying that the song Too Much by Elvis Presley was sung in the movie Jailhouse Rock. It was not, and he was correct in correcting me. He was very right into correcting me, but I am also very right now in correcting him, because he says in our conversation about Aloha from Hawaii that the cape that Elvis threw at the end of the concert was caught by a doctor. No, it was not. It was caught by a sports writer named Bruce Speaks. Later, he would sell it to a gentleman named Andrew Kern, who was an Elvis collector from Miami. So just so you know, I know in the conversation, Gregg says it was caught by a doctor. It was not. It was actually caught by a sports writer, and then it was later sold to an Elvis collector. All right, you guys, we'll be right back. I am so excited. I have been introduced to a new product line that is supposed to give me great energy, improve my general health, woohoo! And for those interested in weight loss, it can help you lose 5 to 15 pounds in just 8 days. I'd love to share this product with anyone who is listening to this podcast that needs help in those areas. Let me know if you need the scoop. Email me right now at jungleroompodcast@gmail.com with faith and fitness in the subject line. I am Jaime Kay. Now, as you guys know, for the month of January, Mike is not here with us because he's off getting married and doing all the fun stuff that comes with getting married, and you know the drill. But he will be back in February. But until then, I am going to have a series of guest hosts. And this week's guest host is a member of the Jungle Room team. You guys may have known him, may have read some of his writings on our Facebook page. It is the wonderful Gregg Webb. How's it going, Gregg?
Hi, Jamie. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. No, thanks for being here. Now, Gregg, tell us a little bit about yourself for people who do not know you.
Well, just like yourself, Jamie, I'm just a fan. I never met Elvis, never saw him live. He passed away when I was 7, and I didn't know who he was, but I remember all the hype. There's a lot of news hype. Even more so than with Prince and Michael Jackson. There was a lot of it. Had no idea who he was. About a month later, I was over at a friend's house. Long story short, and he had the album from Elvis in Memphis, and he played me "Wearing That Love Don't Look," the title track from that album, which is a great song, underrated. I loved it and got into him. Kind of got out of Elvis for a while, but then later on, fire rekindled, I guess you'd say. I saw This Is Elvis on HBO. Viva Las Vegas was on TV, and it went from there. And Elvis was pretty much my hobby growing up. So, and I pretty much read everything I could, watched every movie, the best ones and the worst ones too, all the records. Of course, back then we didn't have Spotify. You know, I had to get out and go out and search for records and buy them and stuff. Yeah. So
it was a lot hard for us. Like the true Elvis fans are the ones that actually had to put in a lot of the legwork to find his music and movies. Now, this generation today, they have it so easy.
Oh man, one time I know me and my family were on vacation somewhere in Kentucky. I called the record shop that was nearby and asked them, hey, do you have any Elvis records? And they did. They had one I didn't have. It was the Paradise Hawaiian style soundtrack. And oh, great, I got it. And of course, it's not one of his better soundtracks, but I was ecstatic to have the album. So
right.
Yeah. Now you get on Spotify anytime you want to.
I know, right? What is your favorite Elvis movie?
My favorite Elvis movie would have to be, it's probably a tie. I'm going to say Jailhouse Rock and Change of Habits.
Oh, that's so funny because Matthew Pixley, who is also a member of the Jungle Room team, he told us last week that Change of Habit is one of his favorite movies.
Well, it's so cool. He looks so cool in that movie. He was getting ready for his Vegas comeback. He was so cool, and the songs actually were really good. I thought "Let Us Pray,"
Let Us Pray, yes, my favorite. As a matter of fact, with Let Us Pray, for anyone who's on my personal Facebook page, you may have seen the post. So my mom, who everyone knows, who's listened to this podcast from the beginning, knew that my mom was a huge Elvis fan, and she was also the reason why I started doing this podcast. This podcast was totally her idea. And she wanted 2 songs played at her funeral. One, Where No One Stands Alone, which actually was played. Also wanted Let Us Pray, and it didn't get played. That's another story entirely. But every time I listen to it, I go back and I'm like, that would have just been so fitting. And she just loved that song. And you listening to it, you can't help but get a little bit of the Holy Spirit running into you with a little bit of Elvis. It's a great song.
It's a good one.
Did he record that outside the movie? Is that something that you can even find?
Well, I mean, he recorded it for that movie. To my knowledge, he never sang it live, never sang it anywhere else. So he recorded it specifically for that movie. I don't know who wrote it.
I need to look that up because there's some great songs in his movies. There's another one, Clean Up Your Own Backyard.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good song. I mean, there's some really great Elvis songs in some of these movies that for you new Elvis fans who are researching his music, start looking at some of his movies because there's some hidden gems. He had some really great songs in his movies.
And the song Clean Up Your Own Backyard, it was released on the Almost in Love album. It was in the movie Trouble with Girls.
Right.
And there was not a Trouble with Girls soundtrack, but it was released on the Almost in Love album. And they added horns and strings into it and everything. Later on in the 90s, they come out with a CD. Do you remember the CD series called Double Features? And they would have certain like 2 and 3 Elvis movies on them.
Yeah.
Well, the one with the Trouble with Girls had Clean Up Your Own Backyard without all the horns and the strings, and it was really good. It was really good, like almost acoustic song. And it would have really been. It could have been, I think, a commercial hit had it been released that way originally. But anyway,
I love that song.
Yeah.
Love it. So, this week, tomorrow, we're recording at the time of this recording. I got to get used to trying to act like we are recording live, but we're not. At the time of this recording, it's January 13th, but this episode will air on January 14th, which just happens to be a very significant date in Elvis history. You want to tell the listeners what it is?
Yeah, January 14th, 1973, Aloha From Hawaii. Elvis is beamed worldwide in concert, the first time that has ever been done. Elvis is the first person to do it. Colonel Parker cooked it up, and Elvis, he never looked better, I'll tell you that. His hair was awesome, and he was trim, and it was phenomenal. And it's funny, Jamie, you and I were talking. You did a little bit of reading on this. It was beamed to a lot of countries, but the U.S. didn't see it live. Well, they didn't see it live at all.
And right. Because Elvis Aloha From Hawaii, it aired in more than 40 countries across Asia and Europe. Now, the special did not air in the United States on January 14th because there was another major TV moment happening in the U.S. And what that was the Super Bowl. So Aloha From Hawaii would air on April 4th for everyone in the U.S. But it is estimated that between 1 and 1.5 billion viewers watched the King special. Now that Super Bowl also was significant. It was between the Miami Dolphins and the Washington Redskins, and to date, that was the second lowest scoring Super Bowl with a total of 21 points. I'm a football junkie. Thought I had to throw that in.
Well, honestly, I can say I would have rather seen Elvis, but I love sports, football, But
I think there would have been some major uproar if they had.
Oh no, NBC did the right thing. No,
bumped the Super Bowl. Yeah. So I had not realized that America did not watch it live. until I started researching this. For some reason, I thought everyone saw it at the same time around the world, but no, it was the U.S. didn't get it till a few months later in April.
And you would think it being in Hawaii, which is, the 50th state in the United States, it would have been live here, but no.
And why would they have done it on the Super Bowl? I mean, and Elvis he was a big football fan.
He
so
was.
I wonder what the thought process was of picking that date.
I don't know. That'd be something for us to look into, and maybe I could write something about that.
Yeah, we need to. There you go. You have a new assignment.
Okay.
So let's talk a little bit about the actual concert.
Yeah.
Now, Elvis arrived in Hawaii around, I think it was January 9th, and that was to begin rehearsals because a production that big needed, a plan A, B, C, and D. They also had to take out some extra precautions. Elvis had 2 of the same jumpsuits made for the show, one to wear during the dress rehearsal, which was January 12th, and then the one he wore for the filming. And also it was good to have 2 just in case there was any issues with the broadcast. So now Elvis took the stage right a little bit after midnight Hawaii time on January 14th. Now this concert there was no set ticket price for it. Instead, it was all donations. And the more the donation, the more that someone gave for a donation, the better the seat. And Elvis actually purchased a ticket for himself and his entourage at $100 each, which with inflation would be like $575 in today's money. Now, those donations and merchandise sales went to the Keeley Cancer Fund, which had been established following the songwriter's death in 1966. Now, Keeley wrote hits like Ain't No Big Thing, The Days of My Youth, I'll Remember You, and Elvis covered most of those songs in his concerts, and including the Aloha special. The goal was to raise $25,000, but they surpassed that goal with a total of $75,000.
Right, Elvis made that announcement on stage, in fact, and yeah. And I think it was after he made that announcement is when he sang "I'll Remember You," and the crowd, of course, loved it.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about the performance itself. Now, I was telling you before we started recording that I rewatched this special a few weeks ago. I think it was around the Christmas break, and it was a lot shorter than I remembered. However,
also too, Jamie, remember you're not mistaken, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe what we see is an edited version also.
Okay. That would make sense. And he looked phenomenal. His voice, I mean, he never looked better. I mean, his stage presence to me was just wonderful and astounding. And to just picture, obviously everyone in America didn't get to see the live performance, but sitting at home watching this, knowing that millions of other people around the world are watching at the same time, that had to have been just a very surreal experience.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Well, like you said, I mean, his stage presence was great. I mean, he just looked great. He was trim. And of course, you seen the alternate Aloha, the one concert he did before that, that's out on video. It wasn't really public knowledge that he did that, really, I don't think, until the 80s when the VHS tape came out, the alternate Aloha. You could tell in that concert, the one he taped the night before as a rehearsal concert, his hair is longer. So after that show, he got a haircut. And it's quite a bit shorter, actually, in the actual concert itself. A lot more trim, it looks better, actually.
So let's talk about our opinions, because you had some strong opinions about this concert and his performance. I thought that he did wonderful. I think the 68 comeback special was a little bit better in a different way because it was more intimate, and of course it wasn't live. I thought that for this Aloha special, it gave his fans a chance to see him in concert who may never get to see him in concert, especially for fans who lived outside the U.S. So I thought that this was like, wow, this is giving everyone a chance to see him at, in his concert performances. What did you think of the performance?
Well, overall, I mean, I'll just say, and not to be, a lot of people get defensive when people, it's not that I'm knocking Elvis. It's just that, to be a little critical here, I thought his performance could have been a little bit better. I thought, with CC Rider and Burning Love, the first two songs, is great. I just thought his voice was a bit flat at times. I thought that some of his song choices, I wish he would have stuck to stuff like the 68 special and gone that route. Instead, we get stuff like, You Gave Me a Mountain, It's Over, I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry. I wish he would have stuck more to the hard, bluesy, rock and roll stuff instead of the Vegas stage show stuff like that. I mean, overall, again, the performance is good. He what am I trying to say here? He stood up to, he met the challenge. He did it. I just thought it could have been a little bit better.
And in what way? What would you think it would be better? How would you make it better?
More 68 comeback specialist, perhaps. Again, like I said, I thought his voice was a bit flat. Again, the song selection, I would have done more with Lottie Miss Claudie, Shake, Rattle, and Roll, more of the Jailhouse Rock, stuff like that. And again, less of the I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry, less of the It's Over, You Gave Me a Mountain, stuff like that, ballads like that. I just thought I just thought the 68 special was so dynamic and so great. And that's the way it is. That concert there in Vegas was just so great. And then we get to Aloha, and one thing too is his mannerisms. He didn't move around a whole lot like he did just several years before. I just thought he was a little more reserved. Subdued.
Do you think maybe that stemmed from the fact of the magnitude of what he was actually performing to? I mean, he was performing for the entire world. Do you think maybe a little bit of that was nerves?
Story goes that he was nervous. Yeah, he was real nervous as a cat at a dog show, as they would say. So, that's probably had a lot to do with it. And again, that doesn't mean I don't like Elvis. That doesn't mean I don't love what he did. I just, I still love Elvis. I just thought that performance, I thought he could have done better.
Okay, well, fair enough. Everyone has their opinion. I've never heard that viewpoint before, and that's going to make me go back and watch the concert again and see. I guess I was just taking into I was just watching it, thinking about how the fact of what it was. I mean, it was him performing for the world. He had never done something this big. And I could see where he probably did not want to take any unnecessary risks. He's trying to stay more safe than sorry. He didn't cut up as much as we've seen in his Vegas performances and other concert shows. I mean, he was on point, and there was no extras. However, like you said, we have the edited version. So who knows what the entire performance was. Right. Maybe there was some of that personal Elvis that we've seen in a lot of his concerts, and we just don't have the ability to see it.
And also in the crowd, Jack Lord, are you familiar with him? He was the star of the original Hawaii Five-0.
Oh, yes, that's right. That's right. He even introduced him on stage, right?
Right, he did.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah. And it's funny too, he had just played Hawaii in November of 72. Just a couple of months before he went to do this Hawaii concert.
Oh, I did not know that. Have you been to Hawaii before?
I have not. Probably never will, but I can always dream.
You probably never will. Well, not with that attitude. You live in the Midwest, right?
Yes, I do.
Oh my gosh, you have to get to Hawaii.
Long walk to Hawaii. Well, we're planning a Florida vacation this summer, so that's going to have to do it, I guess.
All right. Well, we're in negative below zero. Like it was like negative 15 over the weekend here in Alaska. So I'm thinking a lot about Hawaii right now.
It'd be nice, I'm telling you.
Yeah. All right. So is there anything that you can take away from that concert that was a highlight to you, that was something that really strikes you as a favorite moment when watching that concert?
Favorite moment? Well, the Suspicious Minds, the version in that concert is really good. The third song he did is Something, which for the longest time I didn't realize was a Beatles song. I guess I was probably in high school, and I was, oh, it's the Beatles. So,
Yeah.
and it's also a song he had also sang the song, in Vegas years before.
Mhm.
So that was my introduction to that song. I was also already familiar with songs like "I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry," Hank Williams. There's also one song he did. What was it? That Sonny and Cher actually recorded several years before. I'd have to look at. Normally I could just rattle stuff off to you like this, but I guess because I'm talking to you here, I don't know. Anyway. Anyway.
I think the highlight for me for that concert, and this is going back to when I was a child watching this, was the end when he threw out his cape into the crowd.
Right.
That was.
Is that still on? I'm sorry, but that was on display at Graceland, which you said you'd never been to.
I've never been to Graceland. No, I will be at Graceland in August, but as of now, I have not been. No.
Right. Okay. Yeah. As far as I know, it's still there, so you'll get to see it if you go.
So, do we know who caught the cape?
Yeah, it was a doctor. I don't know his name, but it was a doctor supposedly, and his estate, I believe the story goes, donated to Graceland or sold it to Graceland, one of the two, and that's how Graceland has it.
Wow. All right. Wow. Well, this concert can be seen on YouTube if you don't have it in your collection. It does have the version that I found on YouTube. It does have subtitles in a different language. But other than that, it's a pretty good version of it. And you can see for yourself just how fit and tanned he was. I mean, it gives me goosebumps when I watch it. But so does the 68 comeback too. But because they were like a pinnacle of his career, those two events, the 68 comeback and the Aloha from Hawaii, they were such a huge pinnacle of his career, and it was also a turning point, and each event was a turning point, and it was also showing, hey, I'm still here, I still got it. And he really was evolving at that time. We can go on to his later years, and it seems he got a little stagnant, but with the 68 comeback in Aloha from Hawaii, you saw this involvement. He was just evolving, and he was staying with the times, and he wasn't stagnant. And that's what I loved about Aloha from Hawaii. You're like, okay, what's next? I mean, he just set the bar so high. You can't see him fail.
Yeah, and you mentioned YouTube. Also, if you wanted to, you can get on probably eBay and find. I guess it was 04. A deluxe Aloha version came out on DVD that had like the alternate Aloha, the practice concert and the actual concert, plus other stuff like news footage from when he first came to the island, he first landed on the island in the helicopter, and this and that, a bunch of extra stuff in there. So that's worth it too if you can find a copy on. I don't think they print it anymore, but like I said, eBay or something like that, you can probably find it.
Yeah, most likely. All right, Gregg, thank you so much for being here in the Jungle Room studio. Is there a shout out that you would like to give to anyone special in your life?
Hi to my wife, Tracy. If she listens to this, she's not the biggest Elvis fan, but I love her anyway.
Well, I'm sure she's a fan of you.
Oh, yeah, because she loves me. Of course she does.
Yeah.
And I'm her. Yeah, she's my. Anyway, thanks to all the people who listen and people who read our Facebook page. I hope I didn't make any enemies today by being critical of Aloha, but it's just it's my opinion.
No. I'm sure you're not the only one that had that opinion. I never heard it, but I still love you. I still want you on the Jungle Room team. But I think every Elvis performance is not going to, everything's relative. His performance is varied. So you're never going to get the same performance at each concert or each appearance. So you're not saying that he was awful.
No. And
So,
here I'm looking here on my phone here. I'm trying to find the track list. I said that he sang a song that Sonny and Cher had recorded earlier. I want to say It's Over, maybe be that one. I'm not sure. I don't know. But I am looking here at Love Me. He did that one, which is one of my favorite Elvis songs. If you want to check out YouTube, there's a version of Love Me that Cher and Gregg Allman did in 1977. That's just great. Great. Anyway, so check that out.
all right. So January 14th, 1973 was when Aloha from Hawaii premiered. Of course, in the U.S., we didn't see it until April 4th, I think. But wow, 1973. Yeah. It doesn't, when you say it like that, it doesn't seem that long ago. But then when you remind yourself that we're in the year 2020, whoa, a very long time ago.
You weren't even around then, were you, Jamie?
No, I was 8 months old when Elvis died. So I never saw him at all alive. I remember when I found out he was not alive. I remember when he was, because, as a child, see people on TV, because I would watch his movies, 3, 4 years old. And I remember telling my mom, wouldn't it be cool if we could go see Elvis in concert? And she was like, well, he died. But how could that be? I'm watching him on TV right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And for me, it's like he was in Carbondale, Illinois, less than a year before he died. I was 6 at the time, that's within driving distance of where I live. And man, if I'd have known then, of course, again, I had no idea who Elvis was. So.
Do you remember, so you were 7 when he died. Do you have any memories of him passing away?
Oh, yeah. Well, again, I'd never heard of him before he died, but I just remember all the media hype.
The media hype, right.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff on TV and tabloid. I remember I've seen one Inquirer or whatever, Elvis more popular dead than alive and stuff like that. I don't remember the, infamous Inquirer, with his picture in the coffin on the cover. I don't remember that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I just a lot of hype, a lot of people talking about it, and then so that's, and the big 2020 expose by Geraldo a couple of years later. I remember that.
Yeah, that was on 2020. I think that came out in 1979.
Which can be found.
Whole investigative report about Elvis on drugs, and Geraldo Rivera. Side note, he had really came after Dave Ebler, Sonny West, and Red West really hard for the book that they wrote, Elvis, What Happened. Yeah. And when he was doing that special, he actually asked Red if he would come on to be interviewed, and Red had reportedly said, "I will if you apologize." Mm-hmm. And Geraldo wouldn't do it, so they didn't go on.
You can find that on YouTube also. And
yeah, I have. Yeah, I've watched it. It's pretty good reporting.
Yeah, and I don't believe Geraldo. Well, Geraldo, for one thing, he was a fan, and I don't believe there's any contempt in the story. I believe he just wanted to, as a reporter would, get the story out there, get the truth out there for the fans. I think the fans want to know the truth. I think, anyway. I do.
Well, I think Elvis's biggest fear was that fans would turn against him if it became known about his drug use, and which is sad. Elvis really underestimated the loyalty and the love that his fans have for him. Right. And I think had he lived, that I believe in my heart that he would have conquered his demons, and he would have been a success story, and people would have loved him probably more than they did. But at the time, people just didn't it was just a different world, and everything was pretty black and white. Like there was no gray area, and we do still to this day put our people that we love, our celebrities, on a higher pedestal. But I think we've gotten a lot more desensitized, and we're a lot more forgiving. But I think Elvis would just be blown away at how loyal his fans are. And I think there was more good with Elvis than there was bad.
Yeah, well, Elvis himself said it's very hard to live up to an image, and he's right. But I don't expect him to be perfect. I mean, that's okay. I mean, he's only human, and I have no problem with what happened.
Right. Well, Gregg, again, thank you so much for being here. I hope to have you back on the show. You're welcome anytime. Is there any new articles that we can look forward to here in the next few days?
Well, I don't know yet. I haven't thought about it in the past week because I told you we had been planning this trip to Florida here. So kind of been consumed with that, but I got to get back on the horse. And I know I've had a few ideas about some of my favorite songs. I told you my favorite, I believe, is "It Hurts Me."
You should write an article about that. I think
I
our
might.
listeners would like that.
And I said earlier, it was co-written by Charlie Daniels, the one who, The Devil Went
Love
Down to
Charlie.
Georgia.
Yep.
Yeah, he co-wrote that song along with a woman named Joy Byers, who co-wrote several other Elvis songs.
Well, I think you now have an assignment.
Awesome. Sounds great. So what is your favorite Elvis song?
I get asked that, and every time someone asks me that, I've listened to other recordings. My answer always changes. It just depends on what my mood is. Right now, it's "Clean Up Your Own Backyard."
Right.
I have so many. There's just not one. If I had to, I love that song "Too Much" from Jailhouse Rock. "Suspicious Minds," "Moody
Treat Me
Blues."
Nice.
"Treat Me Nice." I like "Treat Me Nice" too. "Treat Me Nice," "Too Much," both was on the Jailhouse Rock.
So, no, sorry, Too Much wasn't in Jailhouse Rock.
It was.
No.
Yes, it was.
No, I promise.
Really?
I promise.
I could have sworn it was,
No.
but it was in that era.
No, it was recorded actually in early January 1957. And he sang it on the Ed Sullivan Show on his final appearance.
Wow, I always thought it was on the I'm gonna have to watch Jailhouse Rock.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought "Too Much" was on there, but I know "Treat Me Nice" is on there.
Yes.
He's singing that by the pool.
Yep. And "You're So Square, Baby, I Don't Care."
Yeah. Oh, I like that song too. Yeah.
Which that was covered by Buddy Holly also, by the way.
Really? Well,
yes.
See, just like I said earlier, you think you're an Elvis expert, and then you get taken down a peg or two, just like
and, really random too, real quick, one of my favorite Elvis songs used to be, are you familiar with the album Elvis Is Back, his first from after he got out of the Army?
Yes.
The very first track on that, "Make Me Know It," is a really good toe tapper. That used to be my favorite song until one day I just decided, hey, it hurts me. So there you go.
Okay. All right, Greg. Okay, you guys, we have a little bit more show left, and we'll be right back.
Come to Pizza Man, a family-friendly restaurant offering the best in homemade, mouth-watering pizza and Italian delights. Our restaurant combines the feeling of home and the taste of Italy for you and your family. The result is a comfortable, casual atmosphere featuring scrumptious food and fun for adults and children alike, with delicious, authentic Italian cuisine, fast free delivery, and attentive service. Pizza Man's an Eagle River favorite for more than 35 years. Try one of our lunch specials starting at $7.95. All of our lunch specials come with your choice of our 30-item salad bar or our homemade soup, plus a soda of your choice. Check out our 37 beers on tap. Check us out online, pizzamanak.com.
Hi guys, Jaime Kay here. I'm going to get real with you for a minute. I have really dry skin. It's embarrassing. Now, some can say it's genetics or the fact that I live in Alaska, but who cares? It's still a problem. Fortunately for me, I have a great friend named Hannah Bibb, who is an Arbonne consultant. And right now, if you want to try Arbonne products, you can sign up for just $29. That's right. You get free shipping and a free gift upon qualifying orders. 20% off all products, 40% off all value packs. That's for the entire year of 2020. You can't beat that. So contact my friend today, Hannah Bibb, at 907-957-9298. That's 907-957-9298. Or look her up on Facebook, Hannah Bibb, B-I-B-B. All right, guys, we're wrapping up another episode. Before we leave, though, I want to give some birthday shout outs. First, I want to give a birthday shout out to my sister, Tracy. Her birthday was January 10th. To my wonderful husband, Andrew. His birthday was January 11th. Also want to give a birthday shout out to my oldest and dearest friend, Shondi. She's been my best friend since 5th grade. Her birthday was January 13th. And also, happy birthday to my sister-in-law, Jessica. Her birthday is January 15th. Now, if you guys would like a shout out, either for a birthday, anniversary, or just for us to say hi on the show, comment on our Facebook page and let us know what you want us to give you a shout out for. All right, you guys, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week. I have no idea who my co-host will be. Maybe Matthew, maybe Greg, maybe someone entirely different. I have no idea. I never know. it really gets hard trying to get these guys to commit to an actual time. You know how men can be. I don't need to tell you, ladies, right? But I do have a wonderful interview that I can't wait for you to hear. It's going to be great. Guys, have a wonderful week, and I'll see you back here